Hi there. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to load a data frame from a URL, so essentially from a website, and then how to select rows and columns from that data frame. Before we go on, I want to remind you that I've got a separate video showing you how to load one column or multiple columns from a data frame. The link is up the top right. And also, I've got a separate video that I was kind of showing you how to build a data frame from scratch. Again, the link up the top right. And before I continue, I would like to remind you that the code and the data for this video is all in the GitHub directory. The link is in the description below. So feel free to go ahead and download the code and the data and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, let me just remind you that this video has been broken into chapters, and if you don't need to listen to all of it, just jump to the chapter that will be the most useful for you. So let's go ahead, make a new Jupyter notebook, give it a proper name. I'm going to name it Pandas Selecting Rows and Columns. I'm going to be showing you how to select rows and columns using the loc and the iloc function. So let's go ahead. First things first, import pandas as PD. What I will do, I'll just copy the link from my other notebook that I've got here. Feel free to go check the description below. I've got the link up there as well. So this is the URL for the Titanic data, so the very famous Titanic. It sits in this address, and I'm using pandas read CSV function to read that URL. Let's run that, and I'm just going to make a comment here. Remember this, a really good code is a code that has been commented enough. Not too much, not at all. Just give enough information in your Jupyter notebook for people that will be using your Jupyter notebook. So let's look at the head of the data, which will essentially show me the top 5 rows. So this is the index column, index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we know that Python starts counting from 0. A lot of programming languages do. We've got the column name, P class, age, sex of the passenger, if they survived or not, and what is their sex code. So here is the name. They were in first class. They were 29 years old. They were a female. They did survive. And because they were a female, they were 1. They were assigned 1. And if they were male, they would have been assigned 0. Anyways, so after you check the top 5 rows, if you remember from my previous video, I want to select one column. So let's do that. What I can do, imagine I wanted to select only the age column. I can go say Titanic data.age. The other way was to put it in square brackets inside quotation marks and doing it. You will get exactly the same thing. Before I continue, I just want to remind you that if you look at the type of this data, so let's get rid of the head. I don't want to look at the type of the head. I want to just look at the type of this variable. It's a pandas data frame. And what is the type of this column? It's a pandas series. So if you haven't seen my video on series and data frames, the link is up the top right. But in essence, data frames are two-dimensional. They've got rows and columns. Let me just show you. I'll just show you the top 5. They've got rows and they've got columns. However, series are one-dimensional. They have only one dimension. You can call it just the dimension of row or just the dimension of column. This was only if we wanted to select one column. What if we want to select multiple columns? So the columns. So you call your data frame Titanic data. And remember what, when we wanted to choose only one column, we put it inside a square bracket. What if I wanted to select age, sex, and survived? I essentially want to select a list of columns. I want to select this, this, and this. So what I can do, I can copy this list inside the square brackets. So I will have 2 opening square brackets and 2 closing square brackets. If I run that, you will see that I am getting a data frame. Now, if I look at the type of this, it is a pandas data frame. Well, of course, because it has 2 dimensions. Let's look at the head. Only top 5 rows will be enough. How to also start selecting rows. So far, I've only been handling columns. So selecting rows. for selecting rows, let's just look at the data again. Let's look at the top 5 rows. What if I wanted to select this one, this Miss Elizabeth Walton Allen, and I only need their data? So the simplest way is to use an integer with the loc function. So if I go ahead and say Titanic data, the loc function finds the location of the row. I'll go brackets number 0. What it does, it gives me their name, Miss Elizabeth Walton Allen, which is this one. Then it gives me their PC class, their class first, their age, they were 29, they were a female, they did survive, and their PS code, sex code was 1. If I look at the type of this data, you will see that, again, it's a Pandas series because that's a one-dimensional data. Let's get rid of the type. What if I wanted Miss Helen Lorraine Allison? Well, only choose number 1 because their index is number 1. Now I will get Miss Helen Lorraine Allison. So this is very, very easy. However, if you want to select multiple, so you want person number 1, number 2, and number 3, so you will say 0 to 2. I want 0, 1, and 2. It will give you the top 3 records for that data frame. Again, if you look at the data, the type of the data, you will see that it's a Pandas data frame now because it is 2-dimensional. If you wanted to select selected columns, say, I want to choose the top 3 people, and I'm only interested in their age and their sex. I don't really care about their name, their P class, and whatsoever. Function to select rows and columns. So the general structure I'll show you is Titanic data.loc, what rows you want and what columns you want. You need to specify what rows you want in indexes, for example, 0, 1, 2. And then you need to specify which columns you want, but you can't use the index of that column. You need to actually use the name of that column. For example, I can't say I want first column, second column, and third column. You can't do it with the loc function. For the loc function, you need to actually say I want name, P class, and age. That's what you need to do. I want to go to Titanic data, use the loc function. I want index from 0 to 2 in the rows. So look, I did specify the rows here. Now I need to specify the columns. I'm going to start with one column only. I'm going to say, I want to age of the top 3 people. There you go. 29, 2, and 30. If you look at the data, it was 29, 2, and 30. What if now I want to add the sex variable as well? Can I just simply put it here? No, you can't, because your format says, what are the rows, which are these ones? What are the columns? Well, you have given 2 of them in an open situation. If you look at your error, it says too many indexers. They're right. All you need to do is to wrap these 2 inside a list. Now I have only one indexer. I have one for rows and one for columns inside a sandwich. If I do that now, ta-da, you can see that I've got the top 3 people, their age, and their sex. Can I add people's names as well? Yeah, go ahead. Just add the name inside the sandwich. You will see that now you've got name, age, and sex. So this was very, very easy. However, there is another interesting function that you can use, and you don't have to specify the title of columns. You can just say, I want the first, second, and third column. Let's look at that. So I'm just going to copy this. 1, 2, 3, put it here. The iloc function is exactly the same. So it's iloc for integer location, and you gotta specify which rows you want and which columns you want. However, as I said, you need to specify just the number of the columns. So let's copy the same and see if it works. It's not gonna work. I just want to show you that with iloc, I added one I there. If I run this, I will get an error. It says iloc requires numeric indexers, and you have given me name, age, sex. You can't give me these. You got to give me the number of that column. So can I say, give me 1, 2, 3? Of course you can. If I look at the original data, this is column 0, this is column 1, this is column 2, and this is column 3. And I've only got P class and age. Why? Because iloc function does not cover the last number. So when you say 1, 2, 3, it gives you 1 and 2. 0, 1, and 2. It never gives you 3. If I want to select name, P class, and age, 0, 1, 2, I need to say 0 to 3 because it's not going to give me 3 anyways. If I run this, it will give me name, P class, and age. For example, if I only want age and sex, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So I want 2 and 3, but I need to say 2 to 4. So 2 to 4, and it will give me age and sex. So you need to remember that the iloc function, not the loc function, the iloc function does not give you the last integer. It's not inclusive of the end of that range. However, the loc function is inclusive of the end of the range. Look, I asked for 0 to 2, and it gave me 0, 1, and 2. Hopefully it makes sense. Okay, in this video, I showed you how to load a data frame. Select one column, select multiple columns, select one row, or multiple rows if you want, and then I took you through two important functions. The loc function that uses names, uses labels for columns, and the iloc function, which uses numbers instead of labels. So iloc, remember, integer location, you got to give it a number to select. But loc function, which is the location function, needs labels, name, sex, class, salary, and everything. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you soon. Thank you.